So the big picture about food security is clearly we're in a world where the demand for food is going up, and it's going up much faster than we can supply it. That is the challenge. The food demand is going up faster than we can supply it because population is growing, there are more people, there are richer people, they're wanting to eat more, etc., etc., etc. And the world is becoming more urbanised. And the urbanisation is important because it breaks the link, as Caroline put in one of her slides, between producers and consumers. Where if you live in a city, you tend to be time poor, income rich, you buy lots of food, you shove it in the fridge, you find it a few days later it's gone slimy, you throw it out. So all of these things together add up to an increase in food demand projected to the middle of the century by about 60% or 100% depending on the estimate that you're using. So that's a bit like the obesity statistic. We're so used to the idea of thinking or being told that over the next 35 years or so, 36 years, we expect the world's food output to double. It's like obesity, just as well. But giving that some flesh, this is a colleague of mine from WWF in Washington, Jason Clay. He did a back-of-the-envelope calculation that suggests that if this demand projection were true, then that would mean the world supplying the same food, no, more food over the next 36 years to mid-century than the world has ever produced in human history. That's the scale of the challenge around this issue of demand growth. So, there are a lot of brakes, slowing down factors in terms of that sort of brake on production growth. We know already that our yield growth is slowing down relative to how it has been recently. This is a time series that I put together for Central Scotland, going way back to 1700 in the left-hand graph. But you can see, following the Second World War, 47, price support, etc., etc., Green Revolution, huge increase in yield growth that went up and up and up and up and up until the end of the last century, and it's really started to tail over. And that pattern is significant throughout the world. The ability for us to carry on growing yields in the way that we've used to grow yields over the last half of last century is really impinged. We've also got climate change, which is providing a downward pressure on our ability to grow food all around the world and in temperate regions. And climate change is also increasing the variability in the weather, which is having further impacts on our ability to produce food. And we have sustainability. Several people have talked about the importance of sustainability. Very often that's seen as a nice thing to have, but it can't fall through the cracks of pushing up production because it becomes absolutely essential. And just to reinforce that point, what does land do? So here is an arbitrary piece of, this is East Anglian landscape, farming landscape. What does land do for us? Well, it provides food, clearly, but it also contributes to water. As we have experienced this winter, there is an element of flood defence in land use. It supports biodiversity that itself supports production. It provides recreational habitat for people to walk in and to enjoy. It has a huge cultural value. The look of the landscape is really important all around the world, and particularly in some places. It provides the habitat for important biodiversity that people really enjoy, love, and has spiritual and cultural value. This happens to be skylark. It provides energy, it provides carbon storage. All of these things are vital for us as a society, and we cannot let the pressure to increase production wipe out all of these other things. We shouldn't think of agricultural land as being just about agriculture, because somehow we've got to preserve all of these other things. So sustainability, in terms of preserving these other things, is hugely important, and we can't let it go just because demand is increasing. So the really key thing, and I'm really pleased that these guys have flagged this up, is that food security and the challenge of food is not just about production. We cannot ever grow our way into food security. There's a stat here. Total food produced in sub-Saharan Africa is about the same as Europe and North America throws away each year. It's kind of cruel. We need to get much better about recycling, and thankfully Harper Adams can show the way with their digester, recycling from farm to flush, or from plough to plop, as my wife says. We've got to get much smarter about it, and we've got to get much better about reducing our household waste. So this is a map of the UK. Agricultural areas are the kind of brown and bright greens. The waste that we throw away from the home is equivalent to the production of an area of about 91% the size of Wales. So we throw away a significant amount, 20% of our production base. Therefore, if we didn't throw that away, it would become more available for that. And then, of course, the theme of today is about diet and health. We have too often divorced diet, nutrition, from agriculture, but we can't do it very much longer. So, diabetes in the UK alone costs about £30 billion. We already pay per household about £2,500 in healthcare related to obesity. £2,500 of fat tax per household to reconfigure and make people healthier the decisions that they have made in poor nutrition. Not necessarily consciously made, as Susan said. Nobody sets out to get fat, it's just the consequence of behaviour in the system. Overconsumption of food is associated with about 20% of deaths globally, as Susan was saying, and it's becoming really important. And as Tom said in his opening thing, obesity is something that is global. It's not just about the developing world, the developed world.